Hello there. Nice to have you with me again today. Thanks for joining me on today's episode of Dr. Teach Me to Parent. I'm drawing from my book that I wrote a couple years back entitled Dr. Teach Me to Parent. It's been a good book, and a lot of parents are using this book as a kind of a basis for determining some of the ways to handle child management issues in the home. So I recommend the book to you. You can get it from my website, and you get it from Barnes & Noble, Amazon, other places as well. So pick up the book and use it as your own personal guide in the management of your children in your home. Okay, today we have a good program. We have 3 issues and 3 general topics I'd like to discuss today, and it puts it into this general theme. Here's the concept, okay? It takes a person to be dead 25 years to be eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. Did you know that? But that's only the least of the requirements. You know, you have to be a success, you have to be an achiever, you have to have some level of recognized achievement that is worldwide significance. But beyond that, you have to be a person of character. You got to be a person who has individual and personal character of commitment to themselves and commitment to honesty and commitment to consideration of other people, you know, and commitment to just living a life of truth and honesty. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take a look at some of these individual traits and characteristics that are very important for an individual to grow and to become a very respected and very honorable and honored individual as they grow in age. Okay, now today what I'd like to do is just take a beginning look at being an American. You know, just a week ago, we paused as a nation to celebrate our independence. It was July 4th. And we recognize that by having a day off and having all kinds of activities, of festive activities to celebrate who we are as a nation and our independence and our importance as a nation and our strength as a nation and our sovereignty as a nation. So what I'd like to do today is just kind of walk through some of the things that you can do in your home to make sure that your home is based on Americanism, has a pride for America, has a honor for America, and knows the basis of what we stand for and how we came to be as a country. Where do you start with this? Well, of course, a parent should be an example. Your own Americanism is an example to your children. But here's what you do first of all. Make sure your children know the pledge to the flag. It's amazing the number of children that have been surveyed that do not know the pledge to the flag. Maybe they know a phrase or a phrase here and there, but do not know the pledge to the flag. So make sure as a family, you take time during the week and just recite the pledge to the flag, the pledge to allegiance to the flag. It would be a great activity as a family. Make sure your children know what that is. But what I want to do is point out just 3 key words in the pledge to the flag. Maybe you hadn't noticed this or not, but let me just what I consider to be the 3 key words of the pledge. It starts out with the word I. Okay, nobody can make a pledge to the flag except for yourself. Nobody can do it in your behalf. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can just kind of come in and say, he pledges, or they pledge, or we pledge. It's I pledge. You say that for yourself, and you make a commitment. Not to the flag, but you make a commitment to the country of that flag, the basis on which that flag was created. So the key word here is I. It starts with I. You make a declaration yourself that you pledge. Okay, that's number 1. Now, the second point is this. There's another word, which is the word one. It's right in the middle of the pledge. One nation under God. You know, America is one nation. We are 50 states. And we are a union, and we are a group of people that come together. We're all different. We come from different backgrounds and different orientations and different cultures, but yet we come together as one nation. We are one nation under one God. So that word one is a critical word in the pledge, and you need to understand that we are the nation. We aren't dividing up. We aren't pledging to our state, California. We're not pledging to our state, Florida. We're not pledging to our neighbors. We're pledging to one nation under God. And then the third key word is the very last word of the pledge. Indivisible and justice for all. For all. The word is all. In other words, this is a pledge that incorporates the entire country of citizens of the United States of America. We want liberty for all. We want justice for all. We want the world to be one, our country to be one, organized, one union, for the good and for the sake of all people who live here, all citizens who live here. That's what we are. We are a country. I pledge we are one nation, and we make that pledge for all of the citizens of the United States of America. Okay, that's number one. Spend some time this week learning the pledge and thinking it through, okay? Now, what about the Star-Spangled Banner? What about the National Anthem? Your kids know that? Are your kids able to recite it? Not necessarily sing it, that's important, but can your kids recite the National Anthem? And say can you see by the dawn's early light? I mean, can they go through that whole sequence of phrases which has become our national anthem? I just came back from Germany and Switzerland and other countries, and I just appreciate coming back to America because this is my country. This is where I'm home. This is where my roots are. And it's my Star-Spangled Banner, you see? It's my early dawn light. So it's the idea of your kids. Do they know the national anthem? Can they recite it? Can they recite it from memory? Recite it with any difficulty? You as a parent can teach that as a family around your table. I encourage you to not only teach the pledge, but also teach that national anthem so the kids know that in good detail and good understanding of that. Now, the third thing is the phrase e pluribus unum. You know what that means? You know, when I taught high school many, many years ago, and I gave an assignment to the students to write on a topic having to do with Americanism. And one student that came from another country, immigrated to America, became a citizen of America as a family. She chose this topic of unum. And that word and that phrase and that meaning was extremely important to e pluribus unum. E pluribus unum. And what she did was to spell out the meaning of that. And what that only means is this: from many, one. We come from many countries, we come from many backgrounds, we come from many cultures, we come from many languages, we come from many historical roots. But we become one when we become a citizen of the United States. When we become committed to the United States and can make that pledge to the flag and can make that national anthem mean something to us. So we take our many backgrounds and we become one nation, one group of people, and we have that sense of oneness. E pluribus unum. Look on your coins. It's on every single coin that you carry in your pocket. So that's where you'll find it. Okay, next is teach the American songs. You know, America the Beautiful. This land is your land. There's a many songs that's important to teach. And here's the great words of the song America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain. That's looking through the whole Midwest of our country. For purple mountains' majesty, looking into the mountains of the San Joaquin area and Sierras and mountains in the east and around Colorado and all the purple mountain majesties, the majesties of them, above the fruited plain, the whole South, the whole Midwest of all where the fruit comes from. America, America, God shed his grace on thee. You know, it's because of God's grace that we are what we are, and we have done what we have done. We have accomplished what we have accomplished, and we're going to accomplish more in the future. And then it goes on to say, and crown thy good with brotherhood. Brotherhood is a oneness of man. Brotherhood is a consideration for others. Brotherhood is accepting each other and becoming one race, one group of people. And crown thy good with brotherhood. So brotherhood is a key concept in America. From sea to shining sea. That's from the Atlantic to the Pacific. and from Canada to the Mexican Gulf. So look at it in the sense of that's America, and that's the world in which we live. And then you go on to the song like, this land is your land, this land is my land. Well, that's the same idea. It's not just mine, it's all of ours. It's a land that we share, it's a land that we commit to, and it's a land that we will develop and perpetrate, and we will make sure it becomes part of our future, and it becomes a great land in the future as it has been a great land in the past. But it's our land, it's my land. And that's when we have this kind of concept that I pledge, and it's for all. It's for all. Now, another thing you can do this summer with your kids is teach the names of locations of the states. Your kids should know all 50 states, and they should know where they are. Should know the states in the east, Massachusetts and Connecticut and Rhode Island, New York. They should know the eastern states, the southeastern states of South Carolina and North Carolina and Florida and so on. They should know the states in the Midwest of Indiana and Illinois and Wisconsin and Minnesota and so on. They should know those states. Those are the key states in the Midwest. They should know the states in the West, the Wyomings and the Utahs and the Oregons and the Washington and California and so on. They should know that. Your kids should have a good concept of the 50 states of the Union, and not only the names of them, but kind of where they're located. And you do it by time zones, if you will. That's how you learn it. So teach that this summer, to your kids. And then also teach them the location of the U.S. on the globe. You put a globe in front of a kid, does he know where the United States is on that globe? Can he spin that globe and go exactly to the United States of America? Because he knows where it is relative to all the countries and continents of the world. That's an important concept to teach. It gives a sense of identity. It gives a sense of who I am and where I am in this mass world in which we all live. And then teach the significance of 5 or 10 American heroes. We have a lot of heroes in America. We have scads of them that have been in the Hall of Fame that I just referred to. We have Americans, Martin Luther King. We have Webster, the dictionary and the education guy. We have Salk and the Salk vaccine for smallpox. And we have Reagan, and we have Washington, and we have Lincoln, and we have John Edwards, and we have Obama, the first black president, and on and on and on we go. There are a lot of Americans that are heroes. Your kids should know 5 to 10 of them just right off the top. And so do a little exercise around the table. Do a little exercise at night. Put down the iPhones and turn off the television and turn off all the videos and so on, and learn some of these kind of things that are important to your kids, these 5 or 10 national heroes. But the same thing, what about 5 or 10 well-known events in history? Can your kids name the great events of our history? Declaration of Independence, the American Revolution. Do they know 9/11 and when that happened and what it was all about? World War I, World War II, the Great Awakenings in the East Coast. Do your kids understand and know those 5 key American events that were great and make us stand out in the world and make us stand out among all others? We have great heroes and we have great events that have made us as a country. And do we know who they are and do we know what they are? And then teach the Bill of Rights. Make sure your kids understand the Bill of Rights. That's the right to have free speech. That's the right to carry a gun. That's the right of free religion. That's the right to assemble and come together as a group of people for a purpose, whether it's for worship or for decision making or for problem solving or to advance some kind of a cause, a political cause or social cause or whatever. But the right to assemble. And on and we go. There's a whole host of Bill of Rights that we all have. Do your kids know what they are? Can they name 5 of them? Can they name all 10 of them? Are they able to put those into perspective? And the reason we have these Bill of Rights, that's what's important in our country today. That's what's important in our world today. That we are a free nation and we have certain rights that grant and protect our freedom. You see? And then what about the Constitution? Do your kids understand the Constitution? Do they know that that's a document that governs how America is organized and how America does business and how America runs its political system and it runs its government and works for the good of the people, for the good of all people. Do you understand what the Constitution is, and that it provides a basis and an organized basis to have a country that's organized and well run and well organized and well delivered for our own good as a people, so that we are free and that we are safe and that we advance as a country. So it's that, those are the kind of the concepts, those are the documents, those are the things that are important in our world, and we want our kids to know those things. Our kids should know those things right off the top. Whether your child is in 5th grade or 8th grade or high school or even 3rd grade. Now, there should be a beginning of understanding of these kind of things, even among young children. So, in your home, as a parent, take time this summer. This is a good time this summer. And mark it off as Americanism summer. Learn these basic documents and basic concepts and basic themes that are part of our American scene and part of our American history and part of our American future. Our kids are our future. And they need to know these kind of things so they can advance and be proud of the country in which they live and work and serve the country that serves them and provides them and protects them and gives them a basis of safety and a free life and a life of liberty and a life of justice for all. So go back to that theme. The pledge to the flag, it's one nation and it's for all. Hey, good to have you join me in this first section. Make sure your coffee is hot. We're going to move on to another section, and so join me there. We're going to take another section from my book, Dr. Teach Me to Parent. We're going to look at this issue of teaching children consideration, how to be considerate of each other, how to just be thoughtful and kind and empathetic, to each other. So join me in a few minutes. Take a look at these ads that come on and do some business with these people who are supporting the program today. See you in a bit.
Do you need a locksmith? Layman's Lock and Safe Service and Repair is available for you. 559-228-1805.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
Choosing a Medicare plan can be difficult and frustrating. Susan Hatch can guide you through the Medicare maze and help find the right plan for you. Susan helps people understand the confusing and drastic changes that occur every year in Medicare. Susan will only recommend plans that will protect your assets and allow you to continue to see your personal doctor. As a 100% independent agent, Susan is not controlled by any particular insurance company to steer a person onto any one particular plan. Susan was awarded the #1 Medicare supplement agent in California. Look for Susan's Medicare question and answers every Monday in the Fresno Bee. Call Susan at 559-307-2287 and visit MedicareToday.net.
Okay, nice to have you back, and I hope you have a hot cup of coffee now. We're going to go a few minutes on a little different topic. We're going to shift from teaching your children to be true Americans and proud Americans. So now we're going to shift to the issue of teaching your children to be considerate. To learn how to be a considerate person of other people. To have empathy, caring, compassion, concern, love, feeling, thoughtfulness of other people. That's a big gulp, for a kid. Kids are not born considerate. Kids are not born with the idea of being empathetic. They learn that. They learn that from you as a parent. They learn that in the home. Then they learn that at school. They learn that in their church. They learn that in their with their friends as they play, in the homes in which they visit, and so on. That's a learned behavior. to be considerate. We're going to draw from my book, Dr. Teach Me to Parent. I urge you to get it from the website and or from Amazon or some such place. But make sure you pick up the book, start using it. Teaching children to be considerate. You know, you can't teach a child to be considerate if you're not considerate as a parent. So it starts with you. Be a considerate parent. Teach empathy. Show empathy. Model empathy. Exude empathy and thoughtfulness of others. Be aware how other people might feel in their circumstances. And if you feel it and if you sense it, you'll teach that to your children. They'll catch it just by being around you. It's like osmosis, you say. So being around a caring parent becomes a caring child. So that's where it starts, with you. But the other thing is, you got to talk to your children, about the needs and the problems and the plights of other people. It's all right. That's good table talk, to have. Make sure that you talk about the children around you and their needs, and then kind of plan to do something about it. There are children downtown in the rescue mission, Rescue the Children program downtown. These kids that are fatherless or motherless and homeless and have a place now that they can come and learn and grow and a little place to live. Do something for them. Send them some money. Take a collection. Collect clothes, collect shoes, collect all kinds of things and take it down to the rescue mission and say, this is for the children of Rescue the Children. And that's a little project that you can involve yourself in as a family. It would be a great thing to do, and it helps your children get that sense that other people have problems, other people have hurts, other people have needs, but you can be the answer to that. You can help meet the needs of those particular kids. So make sure that you have that kind of table talk within your own, family. Also, third, help your children view the events of the world through the eyes of the people who experience those events. Talk about the Holocaust. Talk about World War I, World War II. Talk about the atom bomb that went off in Japan. Talk about these kind of things. And help your children kind of appreciate what it's like for a child to be in one of the situations and lose their parents and have no parent and be all alone in the world. What's it like? What's it like to be hurt and end up in the hospital, end up injured and damaged and disabled for life? What's it like? What's it like to be a disabled person in our community and having a tough way to get around and to navigate this community and this world? What's it like? Help your children view other people and events through the eyes of these other people, the eyes of the people that have gone through those particular events. And encourage your children to act in kindness, to care for these other people. We have this concept of random acts of kindness. And we just maybe give cold water out and do it randomly up and down the street or downtown or in some area. Well, I don't agree particularly with random acts of kindness. I think it should be more targeted and more specific. There are people who need kindness. There are people who would appreciate kindness. There are people who are lonely. There are people in nursing homes. Did you know that most of the families and most of the patients in nursing homes have nobody visiting them at all? That's a missed population of people. It's a neglected population of people in nursing homes. Go down to a nursing home on a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon and just spend an hour just kind of walking around and giving patients a cupcake or giving them a little water or giving them a little card or something that they can read and encourage them. There are a lot of people in our world that are hurting, and you can teach consideration by doing something for the people who hurt, for the people who need love and who need care and need consideration and need thoughtfulness and need a little touch of your empathy. You can do that. Help your children feel how other people feel that are going through these kind of times of stress and loneliness and without parents or having parents that are ineffective or just absent from their home. Help appreciate how those children might feel. Talk about that. Help your children understand that. Don't have the things that you have. Don't have all the technology stuff that you might have. They're absent of all it. What is it like to live that kind of a life and not have that? And what is it like to go to school and not achieve, having poor success and having stress every day of your life in school when you go there? the kid who stutters, the kid who is having difficulty learning math or learning sound, or the person who's deaf, or the person who's blind. I mean, there's all kinds of people in our world that are in need. Do your children appreciate, do they understand what it's like to live that kind of a life? Do they know what it's like to be alone and be lonely? Do they know what it's like to be deaf and have to kind of figure out what's going on around you? Well, that's an important thing to you as a family. That's what your role is as a parent. You know, to teach your kids those kind of behaviors so that they can become sensitive to the needs of others and become aware of the needs of others and respond and do things, you know, for that will help people who are in need. You know, a family project is a great thing to do. Family project is, you know, collect clothes, collect shoes, collect stuff, collect books. You know, go up and down the neighborhood and ask people to donate as well. And then take that to the Fresno Rescue Mission and say, here's something for the children, here's something for the adults, here's something for people who don't have what I have. And donate it so that people can benefit from your things. Don't give all the stuff that's dirty and worn out and got holes in it and ripped and torn. Don't give that stuff away. Give the good stuff. Give the good stuff. That's when the sacrifice is there. That's when you'll get that sense of appreciation, that sense of consideration and thoughtfulness of others. So when you give the good stuff, that's what's hard. But you'll learn when you give away something that's important to you. Not just the cast off of stuff you don't want anymore and you're just going to throw it away anyway. That isn't a sacrifice. That's not really being thoughtful of other people. So go into your closet, go into your room and find a couple things that are very important to you and put those in a box, and that's what you give to the Fresno Rescue Mission or to some other organization that serves people who are in need for some other reason. Might be a person who has gone through a fire in their home. Might be a person who's gone through death and several deaths in the family and traumas in the family. Be of help, not just visit and talk, but give things that are important, give things that might be helpful, might be redeeming, might be rehabilitative, you know, for those people. But make sure that you are on the giving end, because then you'll be on the receiving end. Because he who gives gets. He who gives will receive. And it will all come back to you in the round of world in which we live. So be thoughtful and be considerate and be helpful and, you know, share your life. Share your things. Share the things that are important to you. And then observe how other people carry out acts of kindness. You know, just watch other people. You know, other people give things away. Other people act kindly towards others. Lots of people who are thoughtful or empathetic towards others. You know, find people around you that are caring and concerned and considerate and thoughtful and helpful to other people. Watch them. Identify them. See what they do. See how they do it. See what kind of life they live. You know, people who give get. People who give are happier. People who give live a healthier life. People who give live a longer life. All the research shows that giving is a very healthy kind of behavior. And it's a behavior that will pay off in health in the future. So you can do that. And you can be part of that giving process. You can be part of that process that opens the door, you know, to other people. And your children will learn to be a considerate and a giving person for the rest of their life when you start them young. Let me tell you a story. Our children were young, preschool. And in our neighborhood, there was a educational program for retarded children and retarded adults. So my wife and the kids made cupcakes. And down to that program, we marched as a family. And we gave cupcakes to those kids. We gave them the treat for the day of homemade cupcakes and a soft drink. And we stayed and we talked with them and we interacted with them, you know, for a period of time. And to this day, our kids now are into the adult years, but they still remember that event. That was still a critical event in their life to teach them consideration of others. And they continue to live a life of consideration and thoughtfulness and empathy and serving and help towards other people. I think it started there. I think it started with the cupcakes being given to a retardation program and a bunch of kids that otherwise would probably be just neglected by most people. Very few people would have done that. But you know, we did it. And we benefited from it. And we're grateful we did it. And we're thankful we did it. Because our kids benefited and our kids lived a life from there on. A life of consideration of others and serving others and helping others. So it can be done. Another project that I was involved in, collected eyeglasses. Collected boxes and boxes of eyeglasses. And sent them down to South America, where there was a great need for eyeglasses. We had people who had vision problems, but no glasses. No opportunity to get glasses. And what was done by this particular program is they would take a glass, an eyeglass, and then measure it and see what the measurement was, and then try to find a person that could benefit from using that particular eyeglass or set of glasses. You know, and it opened the door, it opened the windows, it opened the vision for a lot of people who otherwise had trouble seeing, stumbling, and whatever it might be. But they were able to live more freely, live more openly, because they got glasses that came from America and came from a group of people. I was involved in another project, raising shoes, collecting shoes and giving those out to people in South America, where there was a great need for shoes. You know? What about the boxes that we give at Christmas with Franklin Graham, Billy Graham's son? He collects all these boxes, shoe boxes, and sends them around the world and sends them out to the people in the rural areas and the poor countries, and the great benefit that brings to these people. So it's the kind of the shoebox project, you see, done at Christmas. Be part of something like that. Whenever you have opportunity to give, whenever you have opportunity to be part of a project, whenever you have opportunity to have your kids contribute, whenever you have an opportunity where you see a need and your kids can do something, sometimes just going by and saying hello, sometimes it's giving something, sometimes it's buying something for them, but whatever it might be, get your kids involved. Be an involved family. Because when you're an involved family, what's going to happen is you're going to live a life of consideration. You're going to teach consideration, and then your children will live thereafter a life of consideration of others with empathy, thoughtfulness, concern, compassion, caring, and giving. And that's the part that we want to be. A considerate person is a giving person. A considerate person is a compassionate person. A considerate person acts. A considerate person takes action. A considerate person touches the lives of others, particularly the lives of people who are in need and who have a great care within themselves and a great need for love and support and compassion. That's what's needed in our world today. That's what's needed by you as a family. Now, you as a parent, set the pace. You as a parent, teach. You as a parent, lead the way. You as a parent, suggest the ideas. You as a parent, participate. You as a parent, become part of the project. It's not just something you assign to your kids like a chore, but it's a family project that mom and dad and kids and grandparents and aunts and uncles and so on become involved in as a whole family. And then it will succeed and it will teach. You become a teaching parent. Your children become students of consideration by being considerate and being giving and being thoughtful and being on top of things in our world, in our community. We want a community that's healthy, and you can help. You can help the healthiness of your community by being a giving part of that. Well, anyway, thanks for joining me for part 2. Your coffee is probably a little cool right now. I'm going to give you another break to kind of get your coffee heated up. And when we come back, I just want to talk about the issue of a truthful. Is your home a truthful home? Are your children truthful children? Are you truthful parents? Does truth reside in your home? Is your home known for its truthfulness? Come on back in a little bit and we'll talk about that. Okay? See you in a few minutes.
This segment is brought to you by Mike Briggs Properties. The recession's over. It's now safe to sell your home. Call Mike Briggs Properties.
This program is brought to you in part by Avante Health. Sound mental health is an important foundation to productive living. Happy employees are productive employees. Employers have the option to carve out the mental health component of their general medical plan to Avante, a fully insured specialty health plan focusing on mental health, substance abuse, and employee assistance programs. Avante offers full service benefit management from eligibility determinations to in-house claims processing. Avante can handle all aspects of your benefit management needs. Avante Health provides EAP mental health services to the employees and families of local and national companies, businesses, and governmental agencies. For more information, call Avante Health 800-498-9055. 800-498-9055. Visit AvanteHealth.com. Dr. Allan Hedberg is proud to have Avante Health as a sponsor of this program.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back. And we've just now completed our first two segments. We looked at Americanism and the importance of being an American and knowing the history of America and lots of the documents and factors that make up our country, make it great. Then we looked into the issue of consideration. How do you teach a child to be considerate and live a life of consideration for others and be less self-centered and less ego-centered? And to not just worry about self-esteem, but worry about the esteem of others. So we looked at that. And now I want to ask the question. You want your kids to be truthful. You want your home to be known for its truthfulness, don't you? Of course you do. I see a lot of parents in my counseling practice where their kids lie. Now, all children lie. And it's a struggle to help a child move from a pattern of falsehood and lying to a pattern of truthfulness and living a life above an honest way of living. It's hard to do that. So when you have a child that's not telling the truth and is lying, you got a major task ahead of you. And I'm going to discuss that a little bit today. But if you have a home, if you have children that tell the truth and you can believe them, you are very fortunate. You're very blessed. And you thank those kids. Okay? That's my first point. Thank the kids if they're truthful. Whenever they're truthful, just thank them. When you came into a situation with them and they told the truth, thank them. If you conclude that your children are honest and believable and truthful, just say you really appreciate that, how much that is important to you and how much that is going to pay off for them in the future. And just help them understand that truthfulness is recognized, it's appreciated, and it will do them well on into the future. So it's not just worrying about the kids who lie, who don't tell the truth, but if you have a truthful child, just build that child up and help that child see that this is an important way, to live. And you are just so glad so that you want your home to be a home of truth. You want your home to be a home of honesty and a home that practices honesty, with others. That's what you want. So let's see if that can be something that you can do. Now, here's how you do it. After you've commended your kids for being truthful, you live that life of honesty yourself as a parent. You be truthful. You role model truth. You be known for the truth. Your kid should be able to say, when mom speaks, she does it. When dad speaks, he follows up. When my parents speak, I can believe them. I know that it's the truth. Kids need to have a sense of confidence in you. You need to be the role model. You need to be the example of truthfulness in your home. Your home will not be a home of truth, unless you are a parent of truth. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3 is this. If you're going to punish your child for lying, there's a couple things you might got to keep in mind. First of all, whatever a child says, it's not all a lie. Only a portion of it. Only a segment of it. Only a phrase of it. Only a sentence of it is a lie. The rest of it's probably true. So when you punish a child for lying, you have to separate those out. You have to say, I believe this, I believe that, I believe this, I know this is true. But this doesn't match up. But this part doesn't sound like it's truthful. So separate out. And if you're going to punish a child, you're going to lecture a child, you're going to reason with the child, you're going to talk to the child, you want to talk about the lie separate from the truth. So you got to separate it out. You have to do the things that will help the child realize that he doesn't always tell a lie and it's all a lie, but that there may be some segment of it that doesn't match up and it's not truthful. That's what you want to do within the concept of disciplining your children. So separate out, that's how you deal with the issue of lying. And then the other part of it is, don't respond with severity. Don't punish severely, harshly. If you are a harsh disciplinarian, if you punish severely, you know what your kids are going to do? They're going to lie even more. They're going to get better at it. Okay, why? Because if they lie, they have a chance to not get that punishment, to escape that punishment, to avoid that punishment. So the harsher you are, the more likely you're going to encourage them to lie in the hopes of the next time you'll believe them and they'll escape the harsh punishment that otherwise you'd be giving them. Okay? So be careful. Of course it requires reasoning. Of course it requires some talk and some reconsideration and teaching how something could have been said better or said more honestly or dealt with more straightforwardly. Of course you want to tell your children that. You want to talk to your children that way. But harsh punishment will not win the day. Harsh punishment will not help your children turn from a liar to a truth teller. Not going to happen. So be careful when you think of this issue of punishment. The idea, I guess, for most of us is that the more severe I am in the punishment, the more it's going to stop the behavior. Nonsense. That doesn't work that way. Not in human behavior. So be reasonable. Be reasoning. Be thoughtful. Be caring. Be loving. And be nudging. And help the child see that if he would have said it this way, it would have been truth, as compared to how he did say it. And how that is different from other things that he says, which were in fact truthful. So separate out what is truthful from what is not truthful and deal with that, okay? Now, the other thing I'd like you to kind of keep in mind is that you have to confront a child with the evidence. It's not just punishment. It's not just yelling at a kid, screaming at a kid, getting mad at a kid. It's not that. But what's the evidence that you have that says that this is what happened, not this? This is the way it took place, not this way. This is really what the truth is, not this. So help the child have a confrontation with the evidence, not a confrontation with you as a parent. They don't want to dislike you or hate you as a parent. They don't want to be the object of your scorn. If you're going to help a child overcome lying, present the evidence of what really is the truth. And then the child has to deal with it. The child has to deal with it. There is evidence that backs up the truth. And there's no evidence that backs up their statement, which was a statement of falsehood. So have evidence. When you confront a child, make sure you know. If you don't have the evidence, you don't know, then you're not going to know what is truth and false. So do your study, do your background check, do your investigation, and talk to people, call people, get the facts. And then you can present that when you talk to a child about their own lying and their own inappropriate verbal behavior. Okay? So don't berate and name call and yell and put down and cuss and all that. So that ain't going to hurt. That's not going to help. It's not going to help at all. It's going to hurt more than help. So it's a matter of your consideration of your children. And of course you have to deal with this. And it's a tough thing to deal with. But do it in a reasonable way. Do it in a way that avoids punishment as possible, but emphasizes correctness, emphasizes truthfulness, emphasizes what is honest, you see. And make sure that you praise all forms of honesty, praise all kinds of truthfulness, praise all kinds of straightforward talk and believable talk. When a child is believable, that's wonderful. Praise the child for that. Tell the child how much that's important to you, and that you appreciate the fact that you can believe the child and you can live in that way, and that the child can believe you as a parent and you can believe the child. That relationship is a strong, healthy relationship, and we want that obviously to prevail. Now, there's some games you can play as a family to help in the building of truthfulness and minimizing dishonesty in your family. Start with an acronym. Take the word truth, T-R-U-T-H. Write it out on a piece of paper, large print. And then as a family, not as a child, but as a family, think of the words or the ideas or a phrase that goes with T that represents truth. So get some kind of a phrase. You know, truth telling is good. Truth telling is the best way to live. Okay, so you write that out in truth. And then you go to the next letter, R, truth, T-R-U. So take the word, the letter R, and find a word or a phrase or a sentence that goes with R that will represent truth-telling and honesty. And go on through the entire word, T-R-U-T-H, as an acronym, and find something that sits every single letter but represents truth-telling. Okay? Truth-telling. So that's one game you can play. You can do it after dinner. Maybe take 5 minutes. But it's a nice little family activity. What you can also do, you can make a list. What are the 5 things that are associated with lying? What are the 5 results of lying? What are the 5 outcomes of a life that's lying, of a person who lies, somebody who cannot be believed? What are the 5 things that will happen to that person? Or what are the consequences? What are the results of lying? What are the 5 things? Well, friends leave. Friends don't stick around people who lie. So that's one. You fill in the blank. Come up with 5, 6, 7, 10 of them. What are the consequences of lying? Because you want to make sure that a child gets the feeling that lying is not a good thing, that there's a lot of bad stuff that results from a lying lifestyle. Okay, then number 3 is, what are 5 things that you associate with truth-telling? What are the 5 things that come to you when you are a person who tells the truth? You gain friendships. That's one of the results of being an honest person. People believe you and trust you and want to be around you. Okay, that's a consequence of being a truth teller. There's a lot of factors. What are the consequences of telling the truth? What are the results of telling the truth? Living a life of telling the truth. How can you live a life and enjoy it and get all the benefits of telling the truth? So that's a nice little game you can play after dinner. Take that as another night. Don't do it all these things in one night. Do them over time so that they're separate kind of activities that you do as a family. You can play the game Catch Me Telling the Truth. So during the course of the day, you listen to kids talk. You listen to how they talk. And when a child says something that's truthful, you say, aha, I caught you telling the truth. Good. I'm glad for that. Or you can play 20 questions, if you will. 10 questions. You can just list a whole bunch of questions and then tell the child, on some of these questions, I want you to lie when you answer. And in some of these questions, I want you to tell the truth. And I'm going to try and guess when you lied and when you told the truth. And what it was that gave me the indication that you were lying, or what it was that gave me the indication that you were telling the truth. So you play this game of 10 questions or 20 questions and help the child know that when you lie, people can pick it up. People understand that. People hear it because they see your eyes, they see your face, they see your expressions on your face. They can tell that you're lying. And that's so different from when you're telling the truth. And the way your eyes look, the way your mouth looks, the way your expressions on your face when you're telling the truth. You see, it's obvious. And you want children to learn that it's obvious. It's not a game of lying that you can win. You don't get by with lying. You don't win that kind of a game. You want that child to understand you win life and you win games by being a truthful person. That's what you want from your children. And you can help them tell the truth and not lie. You want them to live that life. You see, it's a long view situation. This isn't going to happen overnight. You don't take a child who lies and then by tomorrow, because you punish them, they're going to now tell the truth. Or, you've been playing these games and all of a sudden this child's going to change from being a liar to a truth teller. No, it doesn't happen that way. I wish it did. We all wish it did. It's a long run program. This may take weeks. This may take months. This may take a year for a child to turn the tables from being one that does not tell the truth to being a child that is a truth teller. A child that makes up stories to a child that just tells the story the way it happened. You see, that's the goal, is to have a family that's a truth-telling family, to have a home that's a truth-telling home. You want children to change from this lying behavior, which all kids do, by the way. And all kids start out life kind of lying a little bit. But you want them to get rid of that kind of behavior as soon as possible. So you deal with this for very young children. You don't let them get by with lying because they're 2 years old, or 3 years of age, or 4 years of age, or 6. You don't let them get by with that. You deal with it right away. You make sure that behavior begins to change and that they understand that there's a difference between telling the truth and telling a lie. There's a difference between how you're appreciated and how you're accepted and how you're included in the life of your peers, if you're a liar or not a liar, if you're a truth teller or not a truth teller. Huge difference. Kids want to be truth tellers. Kids want to be accepted. Kids want to be included in their peer groups. Kids want to be believed. They do. But somehow they just don't know how to do that. They get this impulse of telling a lie. So you have to help them. So there you are. Truth is spoken here. Your home should be a home of truth-telling. Your home should be a home in which honor is revered and is recognized and is appreciated, and you praise and you approve children when they're considerate of others, children when they are Americans in their heart and behavior, and you praise children when they are truth tellers. You want them to be that truth teller. Now, in close today, let's go to what I call the tip of the day, the parenting tip of the day. And here's what it says. The thankful soul always has something to share with others. You see, if you're a thankful parent, you've got a lot of stuff that you can share about your family with others and be proud of it. If you're a thankful soul, you will be proud and be glad to tell stories, and many stories, about your children and how they grew up and how you are as a family and how you function as a family. You have a lot of things to share with other people. And you'll share openly and you'll share in a very willing kind of way. But if you're not thankful, if you feel guilty, if you're ashamed of your family, you don't want to share anything. You want to keep it to yourself. Unfortunately, that won't help. But be a thankful soul and always share your family stories, your family experiences, your family successes, your family achievements, what you did to turn things around, what you did to help your kids, what your kids have become. Share that with others, because people need to hear the story, because that encourages them as well, right? Okay, I encourage you now to buy my book. Go to my website, booksbyhedberg.com, and you can pick up the book there. Catch me on Twitter, Allan G. Hedberg. That's on Twitter. Join the conversation there. Be part of my website. Go to my podcast. You see? thepsychologyreport.buzzsprouts.com. thepsychologyreport.buzzsprouts.com. It's my podcast. Every day you get a podcast on some aspect of psychology. The other day I did one on living a risk-filled life, what it's like to live that way. And we did one on learning how to be a thankful person, and all kinds of topics that have to do with psychology that help you in your daily living, parenting and marriage and just working well and being a successful person. So it's Booksbyhedberg.com is the website, and the podcast, the psychologyreport.buzzsprouts.com. Nice to have you with me today, and thanks for joining me, and we'll see you again next week, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The book, Dr. Teach Me to Parent. Bye for now.
Hey there, world! I'd like to introduce you to someone really special and really cool. This is my mom. My mom is an amazing person. She is a writer. She is a newly transplanted Texan. She is a woman of faith, and she loves 80s music. She also is a person with a very rare genetic muscular disorder called Pompe disease.
Pompe disease is a terminal, progressive illness. It's a genetic enzyme deficiency which ultimately leads to the destruction of your skeletal muscles. Those are the muscles that control how you move, your arms, your legs, and your torso. When your jaw or esophageal muscles are affected, you can no longer eat and require a feeding tube. When your diaphragm is impacted, you can't breathe on your own any longer and require a trach ventilator. When your legs are impacted, you will no longer be able to walk without assistance. You can lose bladder and bowel control. It affects children and adults, and eventually kills you. It is rare, but it's real.
Now, we're lucky. My mom's still able to walk, though she uses a cane to get around most of the time. She's still able to breathe unassisted, but she can't go upstairs, and she needs some kind of assistance to get up from a seated position, like if she's sitting in a chair. She has to examine every activity ahead of time to know if there are things like handicap parking, accessible buildings, and even functional bathrooms. All of her activities depend heavily on the weather. A windy day can be just as dangerous as an icy one. She jokes that you can tell what kind of day she's having by whether she can lift her arms high enough to do her hair. And she recently moved into a one-story house specifically with the idea that she's one day going to need a wheelchair to get around. Those are the kind of things she has as everyday concerns. Her normal everyday fears are things like dropping her keys or falling in public and not being able to get up. That actually happened a couple of years ago. She fell and fractured her pelvis because she was unable to break her fall.
I receive an enzyme replacement therapy every 2 weeks for life. It's a 6-hour IV. It helps slow the progression of the disease, but it is not a cure. And it costs about $100,000 every time you sit in the chair. Insurance takes care of most of that if you're lucky, but not everyone is, and the expenses add up very quickly. Things like wheelchairs, accessible vehicles, special housing, travel costs to medical conferences, doctor's appointments, and clinical trials. Luckily, there is a group that helps families with Pompe handle these costs. The United Pompe Foundation is a group connecting funds with real people who need help. This was founded by a father whose son has Pompe disease, and they could not find the resources that they needed. They assist patients and their families with medical costs and other expenses that they need to survive day to day. Every little bit helps.
There are a lot of things in life that we really take for granted, and sometimes the scariest things in the world are the things that you can't see. So today we're asking for you to help us shed a little light on a rare and scary disease. Please share this video with your friends, your family, strangers, anybody that you come across. Education is a big thing. It makes a big difference. And another way to make a really huge difference in someone's life is to go check out the United Pompe Foundation. Their website is in this video description. Click on it, check it out, and go ahead and donate some money if you're able to. Again, this is an organization giving real help to real people who are amazing and need it, like my mom. I love her, and thank you so much for helping us out. Thank you so much.
Opportunity isn't always given a door to knock on, so we built one. The door to our kids' futures is often crowded by temptation and misdirection, making it difficult for them to reach their full potential. But once they enter that door, our club door, inside is a place of hope and opportunity. The second home for the nearly 4 million kids we serve every year after school and in the summer. Inside our doors, youth development professionals and mentors provide the guidance, support, and encouragement needed for every kid and teen in an enriching and safe environment, no matter their circumstances. Boys and Girls Club set the standard as the #1 advocate for youth during the out-of-school time. We assure success is within reach for all kids and teens in America, with club members on track to graduate from high school with a plan for the future, demonstrating good character, and living a healthy lifestyle. We're leading America's youth, fostering success well beyond the basketball court through hundreds of programs, from robotics to the culinary arts, providing unlimited opportunities for those seeking. This hope and opportunity builds character, creates leaders, and helps all kids define their future, ensuring young people find their passions, reach for their dreams, and achieve their full potential. Much can be found inside our 4,000 doors nationwide and on military installations around the world. Boys and Girls Clubs is the opportunity for all kids, and our doors are open. Great futures start here.
CentralValleyTalk.com